conference. We are glad that these people came. We would ask them to be respectful like everybody else. They can ask questions at the end. For some reason, they think by shouting over us, that's going to silence us. Make it crystal clear. You will not silence us. Representative O'Connell, thank you.
Keep hate out of our state! Keep hate out of our state!
Thank you all for joining us today. And I want to thank Sheriff Hodgson in particular for being here and for all the previous work that he has done on the immigration issue. And I want to thank Marc Lyons for bringing us all together to fix the travesty that has been caused by this ruling. This ruling ties the hands of all law enforcement officers, and it prohibits them from doing their job, which is to keep our communities safe. It makes Massachusetts a safe haven for illegal immigrants. It opens the floodgates, and it says if you come here, you get a get out of jail free card.
Give hate and ignorance! Give hate out of our state! Give hate out of our state!
So imagine that there is an illegal immigrant who is a drug trafficker peddling his poison in our community.
Are you imagining? Do you have facts? Do you have facts? Give us the facts. Base your statement on facts, not imagining. Give hate out of our state! Give hate out of our state! Give hate out of our state!
Would you please stop interrupting?
If you stop.
No, you don't run. You're not the boss here.
Oh, you're not the boss too.
I've asked you to be polite. I've asked you to be polite. I've asked you to be polite. We've set up ground rules. Everyone else is following them, but you. I would ask you, you can speak all you want when you're recognized. Thank you very much. You're being very disrespectful.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You're also being very disrespectful with our communities for decades, for years. That's why we're here.
Are you going to let us speak?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead. No problem.
So I will begin again. Imagine that there is an illegal immigrant who is trafficking drugs in our neighborhoods, poison that kills our children, heroin and fentanyl. He gets arrested and he's able to make bail. Our law enforcement officers have to let this criminal back onto the street even if there is an ICE detainer for him. He gets to walk out that door, go back into our neighborhoods, and continue committing crimes. This ruling only adds to the opiate epidemic that is ravishing our entire state and our communities.
Are we an opiate epidemic in Massachusetts? No. Tell me, are we not? No.
This ruling puts law enforcement officers in jeopardy. It puts our communities in jeopardy. And I think it is an outrage that anyone in Massachusetts, within state government or out of state government, would think that this ruling is a victory. The only one victorious here are illegal immigrants who commit crimes. So the SJC ruling also pointed out that there is no statute on this issue. And that's exactly what we are doing here. We are creating a statute so that law enforcement officers can do their jobs, can keep our families safe, our communities safe, our children safe. This issue is not Republican or Democrat. It is not anti-immigrant or pro-immigrant. This issue is pro-American. And I would hope that all of our colleagues join us in moving this bill swiftly forward through the legislature so that we can put the power back into the hands of law enforcement, back into the hands of the people, and continue to keep our streets and our neighborhoods safe.
Give hate out of our state! Give hate out of our state! Give hate out of our state!
Once again, folks, I would ask you to respect.
You're blocking the camera.
What are you doing?
What we have asked you to do. You have an opportunity later
They are
to
moving.
Stand up
ask
here.
your question.
Don't touch me.
Stand up
Don't
here,
touch me.
please.
You're a police officer.
No, I'm sure.
Oh, you're a sheriff. You
but
have
you're
more
supposed to
information.
Representative Diehl, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Representative Lyons, and thank you everybody for joining us.
We ask you to step back with the audience.
No, you
Ma'am,
can't
step
have
back
it.
here.
I have the right to be here. Don't yell at me. Don't even yell at me. Don't even touch me. Don't touch me. Don't yell at me.
Security.
Be respectful. Be respectful. Don't even
Stand
touch
back
me.
here.
Because you know that I have rights. Yes, you are touching me. Don't even touch me and don't yell at me. Okay?
I think you're yelling at us.
Oh.
All right, thank you all for joining us here today, and I just want to ask
You're
you guys,
interrupting what I'm doing and I'm working. You know that, right?
just want to say that to me, this ruling by the SJC seems to make no sense whatsoever. Haven't we already learned?
Excuse me. Ma'am, you're blocking these people who have been
No,
invited
it's
here.
all right. It's not
Stand
bothering
back
me.
over here.
Yeah, it's not bothering me. It's all right.
Thank you.
I'm not going to tell you again.
Haven't we here in Massachusetts, haven't we here in Boston learned a
It's normal.
painful lesson when local law enforcement fails to interact with federal agencies and the marathon bombing happens because of a failure of communication between the two? Why we make a decision like this, the Supreme Judicial Court makes a decision, makes no sense. All this is going to do is create an additional magnet approach for the state for illegal immigration, creating an additional financial burden. We already have $1.8 billion in our budget each year out supporting illegal immigration, and in some cases, creating a further public safety risk. We are a nation of laws, and I just don't understand why we have politicians and activist judges who keep working to undermine the work of federal departments that are here to keep us safe. So I hope that this legislation is not only considered in this session, but also passes in this session. And I thank Rep. Lyons for fighting.
Thank you very much. We're going to open this up to questions. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes,
Yes.
hoping you get a chance to answer this. It looks as though the law will allow police to arrest someone based on their personal observations and belief that they're violating the immigration law, but wouldn't that potentially sweep up people who are totally innocent of violating the immigration law?
Racial discrimination?
The intent of the law, and I think if you look at the second paragraph, it shall additionally have the authority to arrest and detain a person without having a warrant if the officer making such arrest and detention of the agency possesses an immigration detainer lawfully. So the intent of the law is to assist in the illegal immigration detainers. So that's the purpose. That's why we wrote the law. If we need to make changes to the law going forward, we will. But that's the intent of the law. Any other questions?
Is there any intent to reach other kinds of federal law or just Title VIII?
Well, we aren't, I don't think in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or any other state that we're looking to break down our cooperation and partnership with any federal, state, or local agency. Our charge, first and foremost, is to enforce the laws that are on the books. In those instances where people don't like those laws, they can be changed by legislators. But in the meantime, when the laws are on the books, you can't expect that any of us are going to pick and choose what laws we want to follow or carve out in our partnerships with our federal authorities.
I'm speaking specifically marijuana, federal marijuana law. Would that be something that state officials could enforce at their own discretion under this bill?
Well, I know that there's some things going on in Washington right now around the federal issues, the marijuana laws, which is a great point. How is it that certain states are right now ignoring the federal law? And I think that's being looked at by Washington. That was done under the previous administration and the Obama administration. My understanding is the Trump administration is looking at that. And I will tell you, in a meeting in Washington several years ago, I confronted Eric Holder and asked him, how is it that you can mitigate this idea that certain states can not be prosecuted or have some penalty for violating federal law? Because that's exactly what they were doing when they created this sort of, we don't look, we'll see how it goes sort of attitude. You can't have that in America. We have a specific process to deal with our laws, the legislature, it's what they do. And when people don't like laws, they do what these legislators are doing right now. If there's one in this case that needs to be, according to the SJC, to allow us to cooperate, fine. The legislature stepped up under the leadership of Representative Lyons, and they're doing it. But that's how the process works. We don't want to change that process. Our forefathers put it in place for a reason, and that's how I think you're going to see it proceed.
Michael, if I could, excuse me, if I could just follow up on that. The intent of the law is basically 100% addressing the issue of the SJC ruling. As it goes through the legislative process and as we look to make amendments and changes to the law, the intent is very specific, very narrow, and that's the intent.
Is there any development you're trying to get prisoners from the state looking to go the law along this a little bit?
Sure. Well, we haven't received any requests at this point. We've offered it to under a national initiative, national inmate community endeavors, which would afford inmates to be able to volunteer to go to any community, whether it's Flint, Michigan, or any other community that has major infrastructure projects that might need help because they don't have the resources to get it done. So we haven't received anything on the wall at this point, but the offer stands, and we'll do everything we can to help citizens.
During the hearing, I think it was last week, here at the State House, there was one of the representatives trying to get a bill passed to stop any local money from going to them. Would that be the case if there were local monies going to something like that, or how would that work?
This bill has nothing to do with that. Ma'am, do you have a question?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I would like to know if you have specific data, very specific numbers of how many undocumented immigrants have been committing crimes in Massachusetts, because in your statement you were imagining, right? So I would like to know. Can I finish my question?
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I would like to know if you have like a formal report with specific data. And my second question is for you, Representative. Do you have a clear understanding about how the U.S. immigration system works right now in order to give citizenship for undocumented people? Do you know how many years? Do you know the process of how people apply to that process?
So, ma'am, I'm going to address the first question. You asked if you had any specific information relative.
I'm not talking about cases. I want to have data, specific data. Numbers.
Can I? I'd be happy to get you the data, but
I would like to give it right now because you're filing a bill. I imagine that you have enough information because basically what you're saying is that all undocumented people in Massachusetts are criminals, drug dealers. So I would like to have the data.
No one is saying that, first of all. But to give you some information, we would be happy to provide you with all.
You don't have that data now, and you're filing a bill.
Yeah, I know.
Without having that data.
So
I want to know, yes or not?
Yeah, we do have the data.
Do you have that data?
Yeah, we do. But
Can we have that
that's
data in a
not.
public way?
I'm not.
Can we have
ma'am,
that
you're going to
data?
let me answer my question. You might not like the answer, okay?
Okay.
But you've asked a question.
Yes, I did.
And I didn't interrupt you the way you interrupted
Okay, give me the
us.
answer. I will give
But
you the answer.
specifically, you asked if anyone has come into this country who has committed crimes.
I said
and got a-
Massachusetts.
So in Lawrence, recently, there was a drug bust of $100 or so million. There were 40 people rounded up, all right, who were drug traffickers. 36 of them were illegal immigrants, okay? Our purpose in this bill is not to say that there are illegal immigrants and everyone's a criminal, despite that fact that that's what you're saying. Our purpose of this bill is to protect the citizens of the United States and specifically Massachusetts. And we want to make sure that our law enforcement officers have the tools necessary. And one of those tools is to be able to work cooperatively with our federal authorities. That's the reason we filed the bill.
So, Senator, I have
Representative
another question
Lombardo
for you.
will answer your other question.
For you.
Okay.
I have another question for
Well,
you.
I'm going to give you a second. You
Okay,
asked
that's fine,
Representative,
yeah.
and then we'll come back to you if anyone else
Oh,
has a
definitely,
question.
yeah.
Here's what I know about the federal immigration laws. Congress, over generations, have made our federal immigration laws. There are rules and regulations and laws on the books. And it's done at a federal level. It's not done in this bill. It's done at a federal level. What I know is that we should be a state following the rule of the land. And that's good enough for me. And that's good enough for what this bill says. Right? We could spend hours and hours dissecting our immigration laws. We're not going to do that today. But what we're saying in our legislation is that there is no reason that state officials should not cooperate with our federal officials in providing safety for our communities.
Okay, I don't think that
Thank
you're
you.
giving me a clear answer.
Does anyone else have a question?
Representative Lyons, do you guys have the political oomph to get this onto the floor? Where's the rest of your caucus? Where's Leader Jones?
So yesterday, as you know, was the date that this bill came out. We filed it yesterday afternoon. We wanted to make sure we got out so everybody knew about it. As the process goes on, you know how it works. We anticipate that most of the Republicans will be part of the team that will try to get this bill passed. But as you know, and everybody else knows, it's up to the Democrats. And every day the Democrats refuse to take action on this type of legislation, they are putting the citizens of Massachusetts at risk. You know how the building works. Right now, it's up to the Democrats to jump in and do the right thing and protect the citizens. Any other questions?
I have a question for Rep. Diehl. Representative, the governor has appointed the majority of the justices on the SJC who issued this ruling. Do you believe that the governor appointed?
No, I don't have anything.
judges?
No, I don't think the governor had a litmus test for who he chose. I don't think he anticipated the ruling that was coming down the road, so I don't think that his choices reflect anything on this issue. I do think that an executive order from his office may clarify this position while we're trying to work out the legal aspects as far as filing and passing a bill. But again, I think Governor Baker chooses judges based on merit, and that's his decision.
Representative Diehl, you want to go to the U.S. Senate. You want to have a voice on federal immigration policy. What is your vision for immigration reform if you were elected?
You know, Mike, it's interesting. For 4 years, I was on the Ways and Means Committee. And for 4 years, every year I heard the same testimony coming from the Department of Immigration and Refugees, that at the time the numbers were about 6.5 million residents of Massachusetts, about 1 million were foreign-born, and about half of those were naturalized. And about 200,000 were here on work or student visas. And that left about 300,000 that they said are eligible for naturalization. And then, in the next breath, they would tell you that the federal and state funding they receive only allows them to process 1,500 people a year through the Department of Immigration and Refugees. And of that, only about half of those slots people apply, and only about half ultimately get through and make it through to becoming a full citizen. So I think one of the problems is root and branch. Down in Washington, D.C., they have not fixed immigration laws to allow states like Massachusetts to process immigrants who want to become citizens. We all want people to come to America, become citizens. We just want it to be done legally.
So would you fund more processing, the system that we have, more robustly, or deeper changes?
Funding is one way. The other thing, too, is reverting back to a system that worked 100 years ago. Before World War I, we used to have a system where district court judges were allowed to swear in people. Somebody who came to this country could go to the local district court, ask the judge to become a citizen. He would give them the requirements, learn the language, have a job, have a sponsor. If you met the requirements that the judge gave you, you could come back and be sworn in. It's not about money, it's about having the state have a free hand. I have a bill filed, actually this session and for several sessions, to try to revert back to a system that allows immigrants to come to our country and